Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial I am going to show you how we can create this login page UI by using Tailwind CSS in Next.js. Next.js is a React.js framework, so you can consider this tutorial as a beginner's guide to the Tailwind CSS with React.js or Next.js. And in one of my previous tutorial I have already shown you how we can create an e-commerce website by using Tailwind CSS in basic HTML. So if you are interested in that, I will provide the link of it in the description below, or you can check it out from the I icon of this video. So if you are interested in this kind of tutorial, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new tutorial on this channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get started with the tutorial. Okay, so here we need to first create the project, and for that I have opened the terminal on my Mac. If you are on Windows, then you can use the command prompt or PowerShell. And now we need to go to the directory in which I want to create the project. And here I have this React directory within the tutorials directory, which is located into the desktop, and I want to go to that. So for that I have provided cd command, and then I can provide the path of this directory. Now hit enter. So now we are at this React directory, and within this directory now we can create the project. So for that we need to go to the official documentation of Next.js if we want to create the Next.js project. And yes, we want to create the Next.js project, but here we want to create this with Tailwind CSS. So this is the official website of Tailwind CSS, and if we go to the Tailwind CSS documentation installation guide, then we can see we have several integration guides for the Tailwind CSS, and here we have the Next.js, and I am going to follow this one here. So after clicking on it, here we can see we have a npx create next app with Tailwind CSS command present. So I'm not using basic Next.js command to create our project. Instead I'm using this command so that it comes with Tailwind CSS configuration along with it. If we want to integrate Tailwind CSS later in our Next.js project, that is also possible, and for that we need to follow these steps. Okay, but with this command we don't need to do any more configuration, and as I am creating a new project, so I am going to use this command. So let's copy this one and use it here, and let's change the project name. Now hit enter. Okay, so here our project has been created. Now I am going to open this project in Visual Studio Code, and for that first I am going to move to this directory. Now open it in Visual Studio Code by using this command. Now let's run the project by using npm run dev command. So it has been compiled successfully. Now if we click here, so it will open. Okay, let me copy it. It is opening in my other desktop, so I'm copying it and paste it here. So here we can see our project is running. Now go to this pages directory, and here within this index.js we have these components, what we are seeing here, right? And let's see the package.json. So here in the package.json we can see it is running the latest Next.js, and we have Tailwind CSS in the dev dependencies along with post CSS as well. And here we have the Tailwind CSS config file along with this post CSS. So to create the UI we need to update this index.js. So here let's get rid of these things, and let's provide a hello world text. So here we can see the update. So now we can start working on this, but before that I want to install another package to this project, and that is for these icons. So here you can see we have the social login icons along with this email and the lock icon, right? So we need to provide these icons as well, and for that I am going to use React icons package. So let's open it, and we can install it by using this command. So now we need to close this compilation process, and we can do that by pressing Ctrl C at the same time on the keyboard. Now paste the command and hit enter. So here we have React icons added to our project. Now let's work on this, and for that let's run the project by using this npm run dev command. Okay, here while cleaning up the file, I have deleted some code which is required here. So here you can see we don't have any title. So if I do Ctrl Z, here you can see within the head tag we have the title. We need that, so I'm going to keep these things and this main tag as well, but everything within the main tag I will get rid of it. Now we can see we have this icon and this title present, and we have the footer as well, and I don't need that footer, so let's get rid of that as well. Now within this main tag we can create the project, and for that first let's create the div, and we will have two div because we have these two sections, right? So first section will be for the sign in section and second section will be for the sign up section. So these two sections, and these two sections have two different colors, so we need to provide that, and we need to wrap these two sections with another wrapper div which will contain these things. So let's provide some class here, and as you know in React we need to provide class as class name. This is the JSX syntax, and here we can provide the designing classes which we require. First I will provide background color white, so I have provided it. Let's see, here we cannot see anything. Let's provide some text here. So here we can see those two sections, but here we cannot see the background white, and for that first let's provide the background gray color to this page. So I have provided that. Now we can see here we have some distinction. If we zoom in, then we can see that there is some distinction, right? Now after this background color, I want to provide a border radius, and that I will provide this thing, this rounded 2xl. So that means it will have 16 pixel border radius. Now save it. Now we can see we have some border radius here. Now along with this border radius, I want to provide some shadow to it, and we can do that by providing this shadow property, and here also I want to provide shadow 2xl. Here we can see we have some shadow. Now after that let's provide some more properties. First I want to provide flex. Now after providing flex, you can see now these two sections are beside each other. So by default it has flex row property, so that means it has flex direction row. That's why these two sections are positioned beside each other. If we want to position these things on top of each other, which was before providing this flex, then we need to provide flex col. So that means it will have flex direction column. So now these things are positioned like this, but we want to position these as flex row, and that is by default, so that's why I will not provide anything. It is perfectly fine for me. Now I want to provide a width to it, and that I will provide this width 2/3. So this is the width for this section, and as you can see this is the percentage width. It is based upon the device width, and I want to provide some max width as well, and that I can provide by providing max w, and then I want to provide this 4xl. Now save it. Now we can see it has this width. Now let's work on these two divs. First we need to provide the colors. For the first div we don't need to provide any color because it has the white background color, but here I want to provide some width, and that width will be width 3/5. So that means for this wrapper view, for this complete section, we are dividing this in 5 sections, and for this sign in section I will provide 3 sections of those 5 sections, right? And for this one I will provide rest of the section, so that means 2/5, and I will provide some padding here, so that will be p5, which means 20 pixel padding. Now save it. So here we can see it has some padding. Now let's provide some background color and padding to this section. So here first provide the background color, and I will provide green background color. So here it will be BG green 500. So this is the color, and here we have the different number for the color. Here you can see for the green we have 50, 100, 200, 300 up to 900. So it has different shadow of the color or the depth of the color. Like as you can see, in 50 it is very lighter green, and in 900 it is very dark green. So I'm using somewhat middle in this shade, so I will use 500. For the text color I will use white color. Now see, so here we can see that color has been applied, but with that color we can see that the rounded border has been gone. Now we need to provide those rounded corners as well, but here we can only provide the rounded corner to these two sections. Here in the middle we don't need to provide any rounded corner, so it will be top right and bottom right of this section. Let's provide the border radius. It will be rounded top right, and that is for TR, and we need to provide it in same size, which was 2XL. Right, initially here in the wrapper div we have provided 2XL rounded corners, so here also I'm going to provide that in the top right. So similarly I need to provide it for the bottom right as well, so it will be rounded BR, B for bottom, R for right, so it is bottom right radius, and here also it will be 2XL. Now save it. So here we can see it is now looking perfect. Now let's provide some padding. And here we can see we have different paddings for this section. In vertical we have much bigger padding, but in horizontal axis it has less amount of padding. So it will have different kinds of padding. For vertical padding, that will be PY, so it will be applied to the padding top and bottom. Here you can see the suggestions, and for this Tailwind CSS class suggestions I am using an VS Code extension called Tailwind CSS IntelliSense, so you can use it to get help for the Tailwind CSS classes in VS Code. Now let's provide this padding. So horizontally I'm going to provide much bigger padding, and that will be 36. That means it is 144 pixel. Similarly I want to provide padding in horizontal axis also, and for the horizontal axis I will provide some less padding, which will be px12, that means 48 pixel. Now save it. Now here we can see that section has been created, and it is looking much more similar to this thing. Now we need to provide these child elements into these sections. Right, the wrapper components have been created and is looking pretty good. So first I am focusing in this sign up section, and here we can see we have this heading, then we have some description, and then we have a button. So within this sign up section, first I need to provide the heading text, and for the class of it let's provide 3XL size. Now after that I want to provide bold text, and I want to provide some margin bottom to it, and I will provide 8 pixel, which is MB2. Now save it. So here we can see that. Now after that we have a bar which is kind of acting like a underline of this text. So we can create that by creating a div. Let's provide some class name to this div, and first it will have a border, so I will provide border 2, that means it has 2 pixel border width. Let's provide a width of this div, and that I will provide width 10, that means 40 pixel. Let's provide a border color, and that will be white color. Now after saving it, here we can see that, but I want to push it to the middle, and that I can do by providing inline block property, and let's provide some margin bottom to it as well. Now it is looking perfect. Now after that we have the short description, and let's provide that text quickly. Now save it. So here we can see that. Here you can see this space, and that space is coming from this MB2. So similarly for this text also I need to provide some spacing at the bottom, so I will provide margin bottom 2. Now after that we have the button, and that I can create by providing this anchor tag, and here the text will be sign up. So here we can see that. Now we need to change it to look like a button, and for that we can provide some classes here, and let's start with a border. So let's provide border 2 pixel, then I will provide border color white, and it will be rounded. That means it will have rounded corners to it, so I can provide rounded. And here we can see for the rounded we have 4 pixel rounded corner, but I don't want that. I want to provide it is completely rounded at the edges, so I can provide rounded full. Now let's see. So here it is looking kind of like a button, it is taking a shape. Now we need to provide some padding, and I will provide horizontal and vertical. So for horizontal I will provide padding 12, so that means it is applying to the left and right of the section. Now at the top and bottom let's provide 2-point padding, which means 8 pixel. After saving it, here we can see the button is looking good, but we don't have the spacing available here. But I have already provided that in this paragraph, but it is not considering that, and to make it consider that I need to provide this inline block property. That means it is display inline block CSS. Now save it. Now after that, here we can see it has some spacing, but let's see. So here it has much more space in between these two sections. So I will provide 10 point of the margin bottom. So this anchor tag is looking like a button, but I want to provide some hover effect to it. So whenever we hover over to this button, that time it should have different color. And before that I also want to provide a bolder font here, and I'm going to use font semi bold. So now it is looking good. Now let's provide the hover effect to it, and for that let's provide the hover colon. Then we can specify the styling for this state. For hover effect I want to provide background color white to it. By default it is having green background color, but when we will hover over it, that time it will be changed to white background color and the text will be green. So let's provide that also here. Here again we need to provide hover colon, then text white color. Now save it. Let's hover over it. Okay, it is text white. Let's change it to text green. So it will be text green 500. Now let's see. So it is looking good, right? So this section has been completed. Now we need to focus into this section where we have much more complex things. Let's focus into it. So first we need to provide this logo, the company name text. So here within this div, get rid of this paragraph tag and let's create another div. And within this div let's provide some classes, and this will be for the text. First I want to align this text at the left hand side, so I will provide text left, which is text align left, and I want to provide bold font. Now let's provide the text company name. Now save it. So here we can see the text, but this company needs to be in green color, and that I can do by providing span tag. And let's close it here, and for this span tag class let's provide green color, so it will be text green 500. Now save it. So here we can see it is looking perfect. Now after this let's create another div, and for this div let's provide padding, and I will provide padding vertically, that means at the top and the bottom, and it will be padding 10 point, which means 40 pixel. Now we need to provide the heading, and that heading is sign into account. Now let's provide some styling to it. So here for the class name of it I can provide text 3xl, that means 30 pixel, and it will be font bold, and these things are similar to this heading. Now we have different colors for it. It will be text green 500. Now it's looking good. And along with it I want to provide some margin bottom to it, so that will be similar to this, and it will have similar underline like it which is having here. So it will have similar thing here, but the color will be changed for this thing, and that will be after this, instead of border white it will be border green 500. So it's looking good. Now after it we have the social login sections, so we will have different social media accounts present, and all of it in circular shape. Like the icons are the normal icon, but these are within some circle. So we need to create this. It is a border which is full circle, and these things are sitting beside each other. Let me create a div which will wrap this section. So it will be social login section, and for the class of it, let's provide flex. And when we will provide display flex, that time it will have by default flex direction row, and by having this, the child element of this div will sit beside each other. After providing this flex, we can provide justify center to make these contents align in center. And then I will provide some margin vertically, so at the top and the bottom of this complete section. So our wrapper div has been created. Now within this, let's create the child element, and these child elements will be anchor tag, because we should be able to click on those icons, and that will do some task like login by using that social media. After that, within this, we need to provide the icon, and that icon we can provide by importing React icons. And here we can see we can import it like this: import from React icons slash fa. Fa means font awesome. So here we can see we have different icons library present. We have font icon, we have iron icons, we have material design icons, all of these. So we can use that, and initially here we are going to use font awesome icon. So that means it will be similar to this React icon slash fa. So let's import it here, React icons slash fa, and here we are going to import fa Facebook f. Then we will require LinkedIn icon, and also we need Google icon as well. So I have imported these three. Now we can use it here. And first we have Facebook icon, so I have provided that. Let's see, here we have the Facebook icon, and I want to provide some class here to change the size of the icon. I want to provide this small font size which is 14 pixel. Now save it. So here it is little bit smaller now. And for this anchor tag, now let's create that circle, and that I can do by providing a border of 2 pixel, then provide the border color, and that will be border color gray, and I will provide 200 point shade of it. It will have rounded full, and let's provide some padding to it, and I will provide some margin which will be horizontally, that means left and right. So it is mx1, so that means 4 pixel at the left and the right. Now save it. So here we can see that icon. Now let's copy it, and these things are looking good. Now we need to change the icons. After the Facebook we have LinkedIn, and then we have Google. So all good here. Now after this section we have this text as well. After this social login section we can have a paragraph, and here let's provide that text. And here we have some gray color. Right now it is dark color. Let's change the color here, and that we can do by providing the gray color here. That will be text gray 100. Okay, we cannot see it, so let's increase it. Now it is good. And let's provide some margin here. Okay, so it is looking good. Now after this, here we can see we have this login section. Now let's create it. For a single input field, we can see we have this gray background color. Within this we have this icon, and beside this icon we have this input field box where we can actually input our data. Let's first create a wrapper div which will wrap complete section. Let's provide some class for this wrapper div, and here it will be flex, and this time I want to provide flex direction column. That's why I will provide flex col, and I want to align items within it in center, so I will use this item center, which means align item center. Now after that, within this let's create a single input field. So it will be a div, and first thing, this div have a background color which is a gray color of 100. It has some width to it. Now let's provide some padding here which is 8 pixel. So here we can see that box has been created. Now we need to provide the icon here, and that icon will be FA envelope. So that is this icon. Okay, we will not use this icon, it will be FAREG envelope. Okay, now it's looking good, but now we need to change the color of it. So let's provide some class here. Okay, it's showing some error. Okay, I need to close the quotation. So it's looking good. Now after this icon, I need to provide the input field, and for this input field type, it will be email type. For the name also, I will provide email. Let's provide a placeholder. So here we can see that input field. Now we need to align these things properly. So first, for this wrapper div, which will be actually looking like the input field. Right now we can see this is a distinct section which is the input field, but we want to make it like this, in which we cannot distinguish input field. This complete section is looking like a input field, so we need to make that. And for that, here for this wrapper div, I will provide flex, and it will be items center. So now these things are positioned beside each other. Now I want to provide some spacing in between these two things. So if I provide some margin right to this icon, that will do the work. So I have provided this, and for this input field, let's provide some classes. And first we need to change the background color of it, which is similar to the background color of the wrapper div. Now after saving it, here we can see it is looking like a single input field, but if we focus into it, that time we can see we have some outline to it. I don't want that. To get rid of that, let's provide outline none, and I want to provide some text size of it. So here it's looking good. Now if I inspect it, then we can see this input field is expanding to this part only. After that, we don't have the cursor. Here we have the cursor, but I want to expand it to throughout this wrapper div, and that I can do by providing flex 1. Now save it. After that, let's see, it has been expanded, right? So now close it. Here we can see it has some extra height to it, but here we don't have that. For that, I can provide this margin to every part of this icon. So that means top, bottom, left and right. Now after that, here we can see it has taken the height properly. Now after that, we can copy this section again to have another input field, but now here we can see we don't have any spacing in between these two, so we need to provide some margin to these sections. So after this item center, I can provide margin bottom 3. So now it's looking good. And for this one, it will be password. Similarly, I want to change the name of it and the placeholder of it. So it has been changed, right? Now I want to change the icon of it, and for that I am going to use material design icon. So let's import that from React icon, and here it will be MD, and this time it will be MD lock outline. So let's use that here. Okay, so it has been changed. Now after that, we have left these three things. So for the remember me and forgot password, these two things will be within a section, and I'm creating this section with this div. I will provide flex, and it will have the same width of this wrapper section, which is this section, that is the width 64, and it will have some margin bottom to it. Now within it, let's provide the label. For the label class name, I will provide flex item center to center these things properly, and I will provide text access. So that is the font size, which is 12 pixel, and in between this label, let's provide the input type checkbox, and let's provide a name. So now here we can see it, but in between these things I want to provide some spacing, and I can provide that by providing some margin right to it, and that I can provide by this MR1. Okay, I need to close it. So now it's looking good. Now after that, we have the forgot password text, and that will be within anchor tag. Now let's change the text size of it. So here it will be text access. Now I need to push this forgot password at the right hand side of this section, and that I can do by providing justify between property in this wrapper div. Now save it. So here it has been pushed at the right. Now after that we need to create the button, and that we need to create after this section, and the button will be similar to this sign up button. So I can copy it from here and use it here, and here we need to change the color of it. So instead of border white, it will be border green. Now save it, and similarly the text needs to be changed into green color as well. So it will be text green 500. Now for the hover state, I want to change it to bg green 500, and text will be white. Now save it. Let's see. So it's working perfectly well, right? So now it's looking exactly like this. So we have completed our login page UI with Tailwind CSS properly. So this is the tutorial, guys. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. If you do so, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and let me know by commenting down below. If you have any kind of suggestion for me, then also let me know. And don't forget to share this tutorial with your friends and colleagues. And I will see you guys in my next tutorial. In the meantime, have a great day. Goodbye.